Hi everyone, thanks for being with me. I've got an error on my YouTube channel that says your encoder is sending data faster than... I haven't had that one before, so I don't give a damn. So we're doing it anyway, and I've got Avery on today, which is always exciting to have Avery up and about, and alive and well, in fact. But today we've got lots of things to talk about. I just need to say, as we're talking today, please remember to subscribe to the channel. Ring the bell for further notifications. Hit the like button because that helps me greatly. And also buy Avery a cup of coffee. That is imperative, if not incredibly important. Now, we've got to talk about South Australian politics, Australian politics. We're going to talk about what's happening around the world and how it impacts all of us. In fact, I've got something here which I haven't talked to Avery about, but I've got Clive Palmer entering the race. And what does that mean to Australia? I've got the Sky News Pulse. What does that mean to anybody and who really gives a shit? I've got lots of stuff that we're going to talk about. We're looking at the criminal code. Avery's got some interesting things to say about that. So without any further, whatever I was going to say, ado, any shitting in the corner, without any of that sort of crap, let's bring us the man himself, the body, the person who makes this live feed what it really should be. Oh, damn, I've got to bring in Avery instead. So good to see you, mate.
Better luck next time.
Yeah.
I've got to start with a question. You said that Clive Palmer's entering the race. If Clive Palmer's in it, shouldn't it be a waddle?
What's that?
I say you said Clive Palmer was entering the race.
Would it be a waddle?
I said if Clive Palmer's is entering it, shouldn't it be a waddle?
I'll be
can you imagine him running?
Well, actually, the rumour is, and I couldn't see this on this clip which I've got, but he apparently has lost some weight. Now, I don't know which part of his body he's lost weight in, but he apparently has lost weight. So good for him. He's fitter, younger than ever, more virile than he's ever been, and is heading towards spending more money than he's ever spent before. He's standing in the lower house, I think, for a seat. So he's actually doing it himself.
That's here in SA.
No. This is
this is somewhere else.
Yeah, two years' time in Queensland somewhere.
Oh, okay, got it.
I've got a clip of him which goes for about forever, but I'll just play the first 1.5 minutes of it shortly, and and he'll tell you exactly what he's doing, which is scary in itself. So we can all look forward to that. Another round of the polar bear. So okay, Avery, what do you want to start with? You had a choice. You've got a whole lot of stuff a whole lot of people come online.
Yeah.
So
good
that's
welcome to all of them.
Are there 10,000 lefties? Are there 10,000 lefties in Queensland? Thanks for that, Smudgely. Yeah, I don't know. I
don't think so. Yeah.
I don't. No, not really. There are enough lefties in Queensland in order to support a left-wing leader. I don't think so. But we never know. Yeah. People might decide at some point, Avery, that one nation is too much to swallow and start spitting them out and decide that perhaps another alternative, such as the Greens or independents, may be the way to go. And I think that's something you and I need to talk about. There's a lot of movement in my comment section on my posts in relation to suggesting that we should now be thinking about independents and Greens. So I've got a number of lefties, thank God. I've also got some people on the right, I hasten to add. But nevertheless, we've got a number of people now who are suggesting that independents. And I'm just wondering whether there could be this shift. I don't know what you think, but you can give me your opinion in a second. Is there likely to be a shift, not just to the other parties, Liberals and Labors and Nationals, but whether or not it could also be from one nation to independents and Greens?
I don't know if they're going to shift from. Yeah, I don't know if people will shift from one nation specifically to independents or Greens. I can't see people going from one nation to Greens. Opposite.
No, neither can I. But I'm just wondering, rather than, I guess what I'm saying is people, rather than filtering away from the Labor Party, which there's a slight indication may be happening. I've also got some statistics from Sky News, which I'll play, which I think are relevant, but so much to do. Have we only got an hour?
We can make it longer.
We could make it longer, couldn't we? But we don't want to bore people too much. But anyway, there's so much to talk about. But I'm just wondering whether there could be just this little bit of drifting from Labor to people looking for a more progressive version of politics than it appears to be. Because I want to ask this question. Are people moving to one nation because they're sick of the duopoly that sits with the two-party system, I guess? Are they looking for an alternative to those that have traditionally governed this country? And if they are, and one nation seems to be the most obvious choice because they're the most dominant, why wouldn't people also shift to those people that are more progressive in their thinking, shift further to the left and to the Greens?
Yeah, I do think people are moving away. They're moving away from both the major parties. When I say major parties, the coalition is one party, actually two, but they're moving away from the right of centre and the left of centre towards the independents. And I think that people that are moving to one nation are doing it because they can't bear to vote Labour, and that's the only conservative voice, and that's left. They don't, that's the only other conservative voice in the that's in the field at the moment. So I don't think it's a thing that's going to last. I'm not convinced that one nation is going to do as well as the pundits are professional pundits, I should say, are saying.
You mean people like you and I? Us
Oh no, I said professional pundits. I don't get paid for this. I mean, I get the occasional.
Well,
coffee,
please, can I just say, please? I'm just pleading to everybody. Please do the thank button and give us some money, because all that money goes to Avery. Really appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. Okay, it's just an opportunity to do another plug. Now, shall I play? I'll play the Sky News stats, so we can start with that. And even though it's from Sky News, it is Gov. What's the polling organisation? YouGov. So they can also tell us a little bit about. So we'll start with that, and then draw some conclusions from it, and just see where it goes. So bear with.
The coalition's primary vote has reverted to its record low in the latest Sky News pulse. The bump that Angus Taylor delivered when he took over the Liberal leadership has now evaporated. Our chief election analyst, Tom Connell, takes us through the numbers.
Actually, I just did to say, I wasn't aware that Sky News had a pulse, but apparently they do.
On this week's Sky News pulse, after making some ground in the first poll with Angus Taylor as leader, the coalition is now back at a record low primary vote. The opposition lost 3 percentage points and is back down to just 19%. That vote going to One Nation, it's back up to 26%, and Labor back up to 30%. Two-party referred, the coalition is also down against Labor to be trailing 55 to 45. That's the same as the last election. One Nation, in that same contest, it's also 55-45, in this case closing the gap slightly. But breaking down the Labor One Nation vote, well, there are some surprising results. One Nation is actually leading Labor for well-off households, 51 to 49, the same margin for working-class households, only leading, Labor that is, amongst the middle class, albeit with a big lead, which means overall it is comfortably ahead. The one bright...
Yep, so I thought I'd just present that, Avery, as an overview as to where we're at, because what it does mean is that even if an election was held today, the Labor Party would win comfortably, probably stay very much where they're at. So what does that mean to us politically? What does that mean for One Nation? Are they going to pick up all those seats? Are preferences going to make a difference? Are people, there's so many bloody questions here. Are people going to be able to make a choice? in terms of their preferences that may determine whether One Nation get seats at all, or will they, even if they put One Nation number one, will their second preference be Liberals? So I guess they're the questions that we need to answer, because we're brilliant and we do have a crystal ball and we can tell the difference between all of this shit. What do you think?
Well, as I've said the past few weeks, as I can't remember his name, the guy on the Sloan Zone, as Nathan Ogilvie has said, we've all said basically the same sort of thing, that we think that the independents are going to pick up the seats because people aren't going to want to go to the former Liberal voters aren't going to want to go to Labour, but they're uncomfortable about going to One Nation, so they're more likely to, we think, to head for independence. The One Nation, I still think, are going to get a lot of votes, but they're going to be spread thinly across the what we here in SA we've got 47 constituencies. They're going to get a lot of votes spread across
electorates. Electorates, you mean?
Electorates, yeah, the constituency, whatever you want to call it. I'm using the English term. If I was I could use the Canadian term and call it a riding. The electorate. We've got 47 seats in Parliament, so there's 47 districts.
Yep.
Right, and I think that the One Nation, their vote is going to be spread across that lot. And I'm not convinced that even though they're polling well, I'm not convinced they're going to get sufficient votes in the right number of seats to take a whole bunch of seats.
Yeah, and
Nathan Ogilvie said the same. Sloan said the same thing as well.
Well, I would believe my mate Nathan, which you can watch on a Tuesday sometimes with Nathan. And also just need to remind people that Nathan and I are doing a live feed for the elections on the 21st. That'll be a fun thing to be involved in. So please join us for that. Okay, but what about preferences? To what extent? And look, can people in the comment section please buy into this argument? Do you think that One Nation are going to have enough pull to be able to win a few seats if they get preferences from the Liberal Party? Or are people going to drift back in their preferences to the Labor Party or an independent or something else? So that's the real question. No one knows the answer to that, but I'd be interested to know what you think. Because I think that it might indicate to us that even though there's a shift towards One Nation, there is a progressive movement in this country to try and find a party that people believe will represent them, even though that party is not likely that they will win power. So the question I have around that, Avery, is do you think that people think, because you know what all people think because you're so omniscient, do you think that people are likely to think, well, even though they won't have all that much influence in power, that is, they won't have enough seats to be able to govern or do anything significant, do you think those people then believe, though, that at least they're getting someone that they believe represents their views? And is it the representation of views that is more important than anything else?
Well, the fact that a party might get, say, 2 seats in Parliament doesn't mean they can't achieve anything. They can. When you've got a government that's got a majority like Albanese's got right now, those two seats that party's got aren't going to have much influence at all. But when it's close, when it's like 72, they got a majority of 2 or 3, then there's always going to be occasions when somebody from the governing party can't get there to vote or whatever, or there's been one of them's passed away, whatever it happens to be. And so the government of the day needs the votes of the minor parties, and when it's a very narrow majority, that's when the minor parties can have some impact. Whether anybody thinks, well, if I vote for that party there, that minor party, whether they actually believe the person's going to represent them. That's a completely different question. I'm not omniscient enough to answer that one.
Yeah, and I wonder whether just a pondering question: do people want to have that sense, I guess, that they're represented by an individual who knows what their interests are. And this is the reason why independents and Tills get so many votes, or have in the last couple of elections, federally anyway, is because people want that sense that they're being represented. And I do have to say that because I'm an avid viewer of Question Time, I know that the best questions come from the independents and the Tills, without a doubt, because each of those questions that they ask in Question Time are about their constituency. They're not asking general questions. They're asking about, roads and railways being built through their electorates. That's what they're asking about. And it's a much more sensible way of running Parliament, rather than the Liberal Party continually having to go at Chris Bowen for what he's doing around energy. Yeah. It's just.
I mean, it's too. Chris Bowen talking about what Chris Bowen's doing around energy is very big picture stuff, and the average person doesn't care about that. I mean, they care about what their electricity price is going to be, what their gas price is going to be. But when you're talking about building power stations, for example, most people don't give a toss about that. They want to know how much is it. How much am I going to be paying for my groceries this week? What are you doing to bring that down?
And they do want to know about the roads that they're travelling on, and whether they're being maintained, and whether or not the railway station just down the road's being upgraded. And they certainly want to know about the cost of living stuff. They don't give a rat's ass about how many people in their electorate has bought batteries, for example, which is something that Chris Bowen rants about all the bloody time. So, I think people really want to know the issues that concern them, that are happening outside their front gate, or which are happening in their pocket. They're the two things that people are worried about. And, I can't see, and this is the frustrating point, apart from the fact that One Nation is a racist organisation, I can't see why it is that people would vote for them, expecting them to enhance any of those two areas we've just talked about. I can't.
No, I can't either. I think that one of the things that Pauline Hanson has done is, just like Trump in the United States, is he's enabled the people who think that way about Muslims, Chinese, brown people. Enable them. It's emboldened them where they wouldn't dare say something negative about coloured people. Now they do. They feel if that party leader, if that president is going to do it, then I can do it.
Because I just want to take us to this particular clip, which is the election. Sorry, not the election. Far from it. The candidacy of Carston Woodhouse. Now, this has raised a bit of a stir, because this dude was on a program called Elijah Fire, which I tried to find on YouTube, but I couldn't. So I'm not assuming it's not there, just I couldn't find it. So this is a dude, I spoke about him the other day, yesterday actually. So SA Liberals stand by a candidate who said homosexuality opens up demonic realms. Now, the bit I like here is that Carston Woodhouse, Bible teacher, preacher, and I love this bit, see it down there, and prophetic voice.
Yeah.
No, I think they misspelt it. I think they meant pathetic voice. But anyway, so they're standing this candidate who has all these extreme right-wing shitty views about the way that life should be conducted. And so he's running for a seat of right in our north. And he claimed gender transitioning is an illusion. And they're standing by this candidate who said same-sex marriage is not real. Homosexuality can open up a demonic realms, and gender transitioning is an illusion. So here's a man, Avery, who's in complete denial about what's happening in the world right at this particular point in time. And it's sad, I think, to think that for whatever reason, these views, the fact that he's a Bible basher, the fact that he seems to believe that the transitions which are happening in our world around same-sex marriage, around transgender issues, around all these things that happen to hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people worldwide, that to him, they're not actually happening. And then he goes off and he declares them to be a dynamic realm. So there's this literal demonizing of other people's experiences, which are real, true experiences that people struggle with, that have emotional and psychological reality for a lot of these people. And then people like him, this Carston Woodhouse, should be casted out, is running for Parliament. I mean, I guess the question I want to ask you, what does this say about the Liberal Party, that somehow they accept that someone like Woodhouse is an appropriate candidate to have when they themselves are struggling to get any seats whatsoever in Adelaide, and yet they put up this clown who says more about the fact that the Liberal Party no longer care about what people are thinking, what are the real issues. They just don't give a shit anymore. So they put up this disgusting human being.
They showed that they don't care about the people when they ran here in South Australia, in fact federally as well, when I think about it, in the election when they went all Trumpian on us. That's when they showed how much they care. They truly care about the people. Carston Woodhouse is not a Christian. He's a Christo-fascist.
Right? Oh, haven't heard that term before. Tell us more. Tell us more about Christo-fascists.
Christo-fascists are people who say that if you're gay, you've been possessed by demons. If you are transgender, you've been possessed by demons. They say that sort of shit that Carston Woodhouse is saying.
So I need to ask you, Avery, what does that mean we're possessed by?
We're not possessed by demons.
Well, we must be possessed by something. We're progressive.
Well, demons only exist between his ears, right?
Well, yeah. Okay.
He is clearly homophobic.
Yep.
All right. Now, I think I've told you about this before. I won't describe how they perform the research, but in the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill campus a few years ago, they did research into homophobia, and they got people who were declared homophobic, said they were homophobic. They answered these questions, and I hate gays, I hate lesbians, whatever it happened to be, and I've got no problem with them. I'm sort of mix and match. They had a whole spectrum. When they then showed them videos of a man and a woman getting on, two women getting on, two men getting on, and the result was that over 75% of the openly homophobic people were strongly aroused when they saw the man-on-man videos. Now, I wonder if that tells us anything about Carston Woodhouse.
Oh, that's a good point. That's a good point. And it may, and kind of, should we be surprised when we find that these people that priest family values are those people that are abusing kids, for example?
How many times do we hear about preachers getting arrested because they preach against the gay community, the LGBTQ community, and then the next thing you know is they're photographed in a gay bar somewhere.
Yeah.
Just
wanted to note something too around this dude's background is that the Labor candidate, I think it's hard to see it at the moment, member for Right, Blair Boyer, said that this is just the Liberals. I think this is so true. And this is what we've got to be watching in the next couple of years, in particular, not just this election, is that Liberals are lurching to the right. So Boyer, who's the Minister for Education, training skills. Played clips of Woodhouse speaking in the Elijah Fire Christian podcast, in which he has been a guest multiple times. Actually, he could be a guest on our show, actually. I'd like him to come on. Wouldn't we have a great time with him?
Yeah,
It would be a ball. I bet he wouldn't have a courage to even appear on a show.
Nope.
There's no argument for abortion. Even the whole rape and incest thing, Woodhouse says in one clip, he says, who knows what demonic realms we've opened up to the world by accepting homosexuality. At another point, he declares, feminism is demonic. And I was just thinking, when I played this the other day.
Absolutely a Christo-fascist.
Well, right, he fits in that category. But when I was reflecting on this the other day, I was thinking, God, I do pity his wife and his family if he has one, any of those. Who knows?
Or his boy.
And okay, so just changing subject from him for a moment, because we can't spend the whole time talking about him. I just wanted to bring up this bit on Clive Palmer. So the clip is from Channel 10, and he promises the biggest election campaign yet. So I'm going to play just the first bit until he mentions one particular point that I think's quite humorous. But I'll play this for you anyway.
Well, he's back. Prepare yourself for junk mail, text messages and robocalls. Today, Clive Palmer announced he's taking yet another run at politics, promising the biggest campaign in Australian history. He'll be standing in the seat of Fadden on the Gold Coast, which has been held by the Liberal Party since the early 80s. Denham spoke to him a little earlier.
Clive, thanks for joining us on Plus.
He looks like he has lost a bit of weight, though, to be fair.
I can't see where.
Well, it's hard to see in that shot, but I think around here. I mean, there was a rumor that he used to travel in a jumbo jet, but we won't go there. So I'll just keep playing it for you.
Mate, let's be brutally honest. Previous campaigns have failed to win a single seat. What makes this time any different?
Well, I think all politicians in this country are devoid of ideas, and part of the reason is because they look at one policy at a time. What we've done in our party is a substantial study of what we need to do as a total to make Australians' standard of living better and to make our country much stronger. And that's what we call the New Deal. It was published in all Australian papers on page 2 and 3 yesterday, and we want to make those ideas available to the Australian people.
So we're about to have a conversation about the cost of the New Deal, as he terms it, and where the money is coming from. You'll be staggered to find out what he wants to do away with in order to fundamentally have a $2 trillion package. And so this is him talking out of his ass. And also, I do get frustrated when I see people with his wealth not being able to tie a bow tie, or a tie, I should say. I think it's disgusting. People should learn how to do the half Windsor. I don't know what's happened to these people. I don't know what's happened to the world as a result. Seriously.
People.
Yeah, well, I read up on your New Deal. You've got investing in superannuation at home, $400 million for food insecurity, tax breaks for country living. But what really interested me was the $1 trillion for housing, then the repaying of our national debt, which is also another $1 trillion. That's $2 trillion alone. That's a hell of a figure. Where is that money coming from?
Well, it's very important that you read the whole package, and it's set out for you when we look at the abolition of net zero, and we think that
Right, okay. So the first thing is we're going to get rid of all the renewables, all the efforts all the efforts in providing for renewable, the infrastructure, all that sort of thing. So we get rid of that. I wonder who that is going to be. That's going to assist more than anybody else. Probably him and his rich mates.
the government forward estimates that we've calculated to get rid to net zero is going to be about $1.6 to $1.9 trillion. Now, if we put our energy needs over to the private sector, not have government involved with them.
Right. So the private sector is going to look at the private sector. How's that worked out so far? And I think here in South Australia, where we got rid of the energy organisation, the state-run energy organisations, and we have the private sector, didn't turn out too well. Private sector doesn't necessarily manage things better than the government does. But nevertheless, obviously he's out here to be able to I guess, foster the idea that the private sector, his buddies, are going to do better than government.
We can then reallocate that money.
Right, so you're saying that that $2 trillion is coming almost entirely from cancelling the net zero policy?
Net zero and the National Disability Scheme. And it's set.
There you go. That was the point I wanted to make. So he's going to somehow decrease taxes, have private enterprise take over a whole lot of businesses, which is somehow going to save us money. Hasn't explained how that actually would happen. And then, of course, he's going to get rid of his pet subject, which is the National Disability Scheme. So those people on disabilities who are really benefiting from all of this can go and get stuffed.
Yeah, maybe he is planning to introduce a policy where you'll get all the disabled people and euthanize them, like a previous fascist did.
Wouldn't surprise me, but obviously not caring. So looking after. So how do people even think that this is reasonable, where he's justifying in the top end, people like himself, people who aren't able to do their ties up properly, and who fly around in their own private jets, those people, and then at the other end is prepared to get rid of services that have benefited the most vulnerable people in our community. What a disgusting piece of shit this man is. That's all I can say. It is absolutely appalling.
Look what he called the party. It was the Clive Palmer Party or something, or Palmer United. He changed it to Trumpets for Democracy or something.
Trumpets for Patriots.
Trumpets for Patriots. That's it. Trump. That's where he got that from. He cares as much about the people as Donald Trump does, and anybody who thinks that he gives a shit about them is an idiot.
Yeah,
he does not care. He does not care for anyone other than himself. I doubt that he even cares for people like Gina Reinhardt, because she's a lot wealthier than he is.
Yeah, and I think that also this is an opportunity for Clive, who's about my age, I hasten to add, I think. So he's young, but he's standing for politics because it's the only way he can ever receive some sort of accolade or present himself in the public. Because apart from this stuff, you never see all that much of him. Except I think there was a press release around the Nationals or something at one point, and he dumped on them. And that was a precursor, I think, to him making this announcement about his own political party. But he won't go anywhere. There's no effort to attack One Nation or the Coalition or even the ALP, for that matter. It's just presenting these half-hearted, stupid friggin' ideas that is about the wealthy making themselves wealthier and the vulnerable being punished for them doing that. It's just that simple, and it's an absolute disgrace. Be interested to know what people in the comment section think about that. Someone mentioned this the other day to me. So we could talk about this as well. So I'll bring this up, Avery, so that we can all look at it. Pauline Hanson is missing in action on Iranian Muslim women's football team. Finally, something that shut her up. Missing in the Senate today too. I haven't noticed that because I haven't been watching. I've been out today, so I had to come back and do this. So I haven't really focused on that as well. Pauline Hanson turns up to Parliament 55% of the time. She is one of the worst performers in Parliament because she's hardly ever there.
So I'd like to know what age.
Hold on, I don't know whether that's true. Someone put up she can't be in Parliament in the Senate. She's sanctioned at the moment. No, she was that sanction, I think, has finished. GJ says, hold on, I'll bring this one up for you, Avery. GJ says, don't put that idea in her head. There's many people of low IQ that would vote for her. Well, not going to argue with that point.
I'll give him that.
Yes, so okay, so that's Clive. What's happening with Clive? I think we'll probably hear more about him, and through my channel, there'll be far more conversations about Clive Palmer, I can assure you.
I'd like to ask multi-optioned, where multi-option says Pauline Hanson is missing in action on Iranian Muslim women's football team. What does this person expect Pauline Hanson to do or say? I've got a sneaking suspicion it's because they've been granted asylum or they've applied for asylum or something like that.
They have been granted, and I agree with what she's saying here, because Pauline Hanson, of course, made the comment, don't want to re-litigate it, but Pauline Hanson made the comment, of course, that no Muslims are good Muslims. There aren't any such thing as good Muslims. So, and of course, now we have the situation whereby we're allowing the soccer, 6 or 7 of the soccer players now and their staff to remain in Australia. And they've been welcomed with open arms by Tony Burke. And the community, from what I've understood, has welcomed them as well, because the alternative was they go back to Iran and get shot or hung or have their families persecuted or whatever. So it was a terrible decision that they had to make, given that there may be some repercussions back home. And so the right thing had been done. But the point, I guess, that people are making about this is that Pauline Hanson hasn't said anything in favour or against what has happened. She could have at least come out and supported the notion that these people would face horrific consequences if they returned back to Iran. But she hasn't done that. She's said nothing. And I guess that's the point that she's making.
In her eyes, they're Muslims, so therefore there's no good Muslims is what she says. Yeah, got it. Yeah. I wasn't sure because I hadn't heard about that. That she said that. But you said that reminds me, in the another right wing fascist, right? I think Pauline Hanson is getting over that way. I think Nigel Farage in the UK, he got into he fought against people coming over on small boats. He fought against his election was all about people coming over on small boats, and he won his seat in I think it's in Clacton in Essex. A number of other people won seats for the Reform Party. He just recently flew to a place called the Chagos Islands, which are in the Indian Ocean, and he took a private jet to get there. I don't know who paid for the private jet, but he took it to Mauritius, and then he used a small boat to go from Mauritius to the Chagos Islands, which is there's a place there called Diego Garcia, and he thought that he could just walk on this gigantic military base, which is basically all that's there, and take photographs and then go back home and nothing would happen. He was arrested and kicked off the island. You can't come in here, sort of thing. He gets back and complains about it, and in the Parliament in the UK, there was a Reform Party member. It's just to show you what Nigel Farage is no different really to Pauline Hanson, to Donald Trump. This is just an example of the way where they are. He says the same sort of thing as she does about Muslims. He had one of his members said that this particular woman should be shot, and that particular woman is a member of Parliament in the UK. Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, asked him to condemn this person and to sack her from her position that she holds in his party. He can't sack her in Parliament, because she was elected to that seat, but he can sack her from that position of authority or whatever it is that she's got in the Reform Party. And what he did was complain about the Chagos Islands. Didn't say a word about the threat to a Muslim member of Parliament.
Yeah. That shows their colours. So he's saying that sort of situation is similar to what we're experiencing around Pauline Hanson.
Yeah.
Good.
I mean, whether she, I don't know whether she would stand up and condemn somebody in her party who said that a Muslim member should be shot. I don't know. Maybe she would. Maybe she wouldn't. I would not be surprised if she didn't. Right? But it's that sort of thing that turned me away from. I used to be right of centre, and it's that sort of thing that turned me away from it.
Yeah, because it's it's hypocritical to start with. Well, actually, I guess it's not really honest, is it?
No.
And it's also, like Pauline Hanson not responding really demonstrates in a silent, passive way, in a covert way, it expresses her racism. You know, if she was not racist, she could have made some positive comments about the safety of these women. Forget about whether they're Iranian or whoever, Muslims, whoever they might be. She could have made a comment just about the government endeavouring to keep these women safe. That would have been all she needed to have done. But, oh no, don't hear crickets from her.
Yeah. What she could do, and I would support her in one way on this, she could criticise Islam. Right? She could say, this is why I don't like Islam. But what she's not doing that. She's saying that person because she wears a hijab. That person because they wear a niqab. That person because he wears that thing that looks like a tea towel over his head. Right?
Yeah, and let's not forget too, Avery, this incident came about.
She makes it about the people, not about the religion.
But this incident came about because they did not salute or put their hands on their heart or did not sing their national anthem at a Matildas and Oranges game. That's where this came from. So this, in effect, has nothing to do with whether they're, who knows, these women may not be Muslim. We don't know. No one's ever raised that as an issue.
No.
They could be Hindu, Buddhists, Christians. They could be almost anything else.
They're Iranians, so they're most likely going to be.
I know. The point
most likely going to be Muslims. They're not. Or they could be Christians. They're not going to be Hindus.
My point is, they're not. Well, they're not going to be Sunnis either, I guess. But they like to be Shiites. But the point I'm making is that no one's bothered to even
find out.
That issue has never been raised. Their religion has never been raised because it is a non-issue. Yeah. It always should be a non-issue. In this case, it's a political issue because of who the Iranian government is, and so on. So, and the IGCA or whatever they are,
IRGC.
That's the one, the alphabet one. So, So anyway, I think she's showing her true flags, and it shows a lack of integrity, I reckon. Not to make a statement about an issue like this, which is not political, but it's appropriate.
She has no integrity whatsoever. Talking about Hanson is a good segue to another topic that I wanted to talk about.
Yep,
and that's Queensland based as well. In Queensland, they've just passed legislation a week or so ago that criminalises the use of certain symbols and certain phrases, and that's the reason for that when we started this, I asked you, had you got a poll question, and I suggested that poll question that we've got there. Should people be able to say what they want? And I'm glad to see that 68% of people so far have said yes, they should. The reason I'm totally in favour of it. Oh, in fact, can you bring up those
I want to let you know, Avery, I am more than capable of bringing that
up. I know you are. It's whether I know you're capable. It's whether you're willing to
or not. That's true. Where am I? Here we go.
So these symbols here, there's 13 of them.
Now, hold on. Where is this? What are we looking at here?
Oh, first it's an echo
symbols. Go for it.
All right. This thing here, it's on the Queensland Parliament website, and it's part of their an amendment to one of the schedules in the criminal code, and it's 13 symbols that if you use these in a printed material on a website or anything like that in Queensland, you can get up to 2 years in prison for it, for one of these symbols.
It's always nice to know we're living in a socialist state, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, is that socialist or is that fascist? Maybe that's a fascist state. What do you reckon?
That's a fascist thing to do, to control what people can say. Fascists or communists, they both control what you want, what you're allowed to say and think and stuff like that. If you scroll down a bit, there's a green and red one. That one there with the green and red writing.
Yep. Hold on. No, we've got to ask a question about that. We said we're going to ask a question on that one when we get to it. And the question is, what does it mean?
The question is,
what does that mean to you? It's this one. I haven't got my cursor on, but there's one right in the middle here with all the Arabic writing. What do you think that means? If you saw that on a banner or on a wall somewhere, would you think, must be offended? Just let us know. Let us right now. If you've got, thanks, Cosman, for $5. I appreciate that. And so will Avery when he gets it. I appreciate that, mate. Just pop that up because I just want to acknowledge when people give us something. So,
thank you, Cosman.
$5 from Cosman. All Muslims are people. Not all people are evil. If we can evolve musically, we can evolve psychologically. Let's start by ditching shit ideas.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's a great idea. Let's do that. Fabulous. Thanks, Cosman. I really appreciate that.
I've said for years that the sooner Christianity and Islam get flushed down the toilet of history where they belong, the better off the world will be. I quite agree with that.
That might happen sometime after your demise.
Yeah, I'll never see it. But anyway,
back this way. The question we were asking is, does anybody know?
Steve says no idea.
Oh, right.
Steve is the only person that's said anything.
Anybody else? Come on, someone offer us an idea. Any idea? This is a survey for which you'll receive nothing but the accolade of Avery and myself for coming up with a solution, an idea, something that's riveting, so that everybody on our chat can say, that was smart. Because I had no idea when Avery brought that up, so I wasn't too smart, but that's life. So can you let me know? No? Oh. What's the question? The question is, Cosmino, what does this one in the middle with the Arabic writing, what does that mean? Because it's one of the prohibited signs from the Queensland government for which you can receive, what is it, every 2 years jail?
Yeah. You could receive two. There's fines, potential fines quite large as well for that.
Yeah. And so if you...
Nobody... Oh, Cosman says, what's the question? The question, Cosman...
I just responded to him.
All right.
What it says... someone says, okay, and I said this to Avery too, what it says may count. Yes, it will. But I want to know, so what it says if you understand Arabic, maybe...
Can Guitar Steve read Arabic?
So firstly, how many of our population read Arabic? Right, someone just told me your sound's echoing, Avery, so I might just have...
That's what I said. When the screen came up, my sound started echoing.
Hold on, I'll see whether I can fix that.
Yeah.
Right, just fixed it. Sorry about that, folks. I apologise. Someone came in and told me that's the case. So someone says, free Palestine.
Somebody says, does it speak of geographical landscapes touching the ocean? Just Google translate it.
I wonder
if you see how the Iranian women dress for football games. They are Muslims.
Could someone...
Yeah, you're right about that.
Can you do a photograph of that and drop it into...
If you drop it into... I'll tell them. If you drop that image into Google Pictures, it will tell you it's the flag of the Houthis, which are Islamic terrorists in southern Yemen.
Okay, so it isn't
So
necessarily.
the question though is, just looking at that, what's offensive about it? How would you take offence just seeing that?
But I might take offence at the one with the gun just above it, and but can we take offence at the one below it, the one below that, which we don't understand what that is?
If you're going to take offence at that, are we going to take offence at other symbols that are used by Christians that show weapons?
But the question is to me, is this going to be banned because it represents the Houthis, right? Or is it going to be? Is that the sole reason for it to be banned? Simply because it represents the Houthis?
The ban is because it is the Houthi flag. But what the wording in the legislation says is that if you display that, it doesn't. Let's say I put something. I did a thing up. I lived in Queensland, and I put something up that used that image that we're talking about, that green and red Arabic text, and I could be putting that up to warn people about the dangers of going to Yemen, because the Houthis, and this is how you can recognise them, because if you see somebody with this flag, you could well be in deep trouble with them, right?
Yeah.
Just because I put that up, the wording of the legislation is so vague that I could be prosecuted for putting a warning up about travelling to Yemen, including that as a way to say this is how you can identify these people if you happen to be in Yemen.
Yeah, but it's a Houthi flag, not a Yemenese flag.
It's the Houthis flag, not the Yemen flag.
Okay, so and it's also got one.
The point is, it's so vague.
Now, let's do this one.
This one at the bottom.
The one down at the very bottom with the aeroplane. Now, the first question we're going to ask you is, and I'm sorry about Avery's sound being screwed with, I just forgot to click something. But with regard to this one down the bottom, just ask yourself, what does this one remind you of? The one with the aeroplane. Just think about it for a moment. What does the one down the bottom remind you of?
I'll tell you what. When I saw this story on, this comes from Professor Anne Toomey. She's a lecturer. I'm not sure what university she works at. I should look it up.
She's a lecturer in constitutional law, isn't she?
She's a constitutional lawyer, teaches constitutional law. And she's talking about this, and she mentioned this particular logo, the one at the bottom, the black with that sort of white dart thing, whatever, arrowhead, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And she mentioned the thing that people might mistake it for. I don't know how you would mistake it for this other one, apart from the fact that that arrow is the same sort of shape. I had to go and look it up. What the other one represents, I've heard of plenty of times. I've even got an account with it. It's a social media platform. I've even got an account on it.
Yeah,
but
and it is none other than run roll. It is.
This is Terragram.
Terragram.
That's what it's called. It's Terragram. Terrororgram.
This one is.
And it looks just like
Telegram.
Telegram.
Yeah. So I would just bring this all together. So what are you saying about this this legislation in Queensland, which is becoming more of a fascist state by the day, but for God's sake, it's run by the Liberal Party. What can we say? Or Liberal National Party over there. So just bring this all together now as to what your views are on all of this.
My view on when you put that poll up, I immediately went and voted yes. People should be free to say what they want. They should also be prepared to face the consequences of saying what they want. When Pauline Hanson started up, people said, "Oh, we should ban her from speaking because she's so racist and things like that." And my response was absolutely not. You let her say her bit, because if you don't allow them to speak, you don't know who they are. They're going to go underground. You're not going to, just like they're talking about abortion on here at the moment. We've had that woman a few months ago talking about abortion. and just, they would have it banned. I think this person on here right now would have it banned. Banning something does not prevent it from happening. If you ban Pauline, if you ban abortions, they're going to carry on happening. If you ban people from saying what they want to say, you're not going to stop it. So it's much better, in my view, to allow people to say what they want, and as long as that person's got to face the consequences of what they say. So in a case like the Pauline Hanson or Donald Trump, the consequence should be that they lose elections left, right, and centre. Not that they win them. When they show their true character.
And have we not learned? Because does anybody? No, you don't remember because none of you were alive. I think I was. No, I wasn't. Around Prohibition. So there was a time when the good old Christians thought that it was a sin for people to drink, and so they worked really hard at making sure that people were prohibited from drinking. What happened?
The Temperance Society still exists.
Yeah, I know. They're in Hutt Street, mate. I know where they are. I visit them quite regularly. So we know that when we ban something, everybody rushes to get it. It's as simple as that. So banning does not work. But the other thing I wanted to raise with you, Avery, is if I say now Intifada or from Palestinians from the river to the sea, and I'm here in Adelaide, does that mean that I could be charged by the Queensland government for saying a terrorist slogan?
If you were, there's two slogans that were banned. One of them is the slogan from the river to the sea. So if you were in Queensland and you used that phrase in public, in a post on Facebook or something like that, and they know that you live in Queensland, if you print something up and put it on a poster somewhere and they learn that it's you that does it, you could get prosecuted. You could get 2 years in prison for it. But just for now, you could have been saying this, discussing from the river to the sea was a phrase that was used by Muhammad something, I can't remember his name, one of the people who was in opposition to the founding of the State of Israel in 1948. He said, if that happens, there'll be blood from the river to the sea.
The word
you could be talking about the history, but because you put that phrase in there, you committed a criminal offence.
I wished I'd found it now, but Netanyahu used that term a few years ago as well. So if it has many, many meanings, I think. And so my question is, if your meaning is different and it is about, Intifada is about rising up against oppression. And if that is my meaning and people are offended by the word because they have a different meaning, it's a bit like saying to someone, you're a silly bastard. Right?
Yeah.
This is an Australian terminology for meaning I really do like you. But if we use the word you're a silly bastard and someone gets offended because they think they were talking to them about being an illegitimate child, those two meanings, they have different meanings. Now, someone could be offended and say, look, I feel offended by you saying that. And you could say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend you. I was meaning this by that terminology. Then that is the way you deal with conflict, is it not?
Yeah.
You don't tell someone that you don't make it against the law to be able to say something for which you have a completely different meaning. Or that if that was the case, we'd be locking up Christians all the time just for hypocrisy.
Yeah.
So
somebody in the comments very early on, made they said that you don't give offence. People take offence at something that's said. You don't give offence, because you could call me an old bastard and I'm not going to be offended by it.
Yeah.
But it will depend upon the way you're using it.
It does depend on the way it's used and someone's sensitivity to that terminology.
Yeah.
You know, like someone could have been growing up called in an insulting way, referred to as a bastard their whole life, and find that when someone else uses that term, that is offensive. And I understand that. Someone could have been raised the whole life and their father could have called them a silly old bitch.
Yeah.
Right? And they found that a kind of, well, I don't see how they would, but they might have found it as conducive to him saying, I love you. And so it's about interpretation at the end of the day.
Yeah.
This crap that we're now faced with. And you know, they talk about wokeness, Avery. At the end of all of this, the right wing talks about being woke. And here's the right wing, a la Queensland, doing something that I would suggest is extremely woke.
Extremely woke. Yeah. There's a word that most women, or an awful lot of women, I should say, I can't say most because I've not asked most. A word that an awful lot of women don't like is the C word. Right? I'm not going to say it here because I don't want to cause it. I don't want to offend anybody, and I know that a lot of women would be offended if I was to use that word.
Oh,
do you know where
from which country do you come?
It comes from the UK. Right, that word.
Sorry, that was a joke, Avery.
I didn't get it.
I missed it.
Yeah, it went over my
anyway,
head.
Go on.
Yeah.
So,
I'm sorry. I'm with you. The way we use it in Australia, I know. A lot of women would take offence at hearing that word.
Yeah.
That came about. This is just an interesting little factoid. Queen Mary, wife of Edward VII, didn't like that word. It was in common usage to describe a certain part of the female anatomy. And it wasn't used nobody considered it rude until Queen Mary in the 1920s. When she became queen, when Edward VII became king, his wife didn't like that word. So it got banned in the royal household, and that spread right throughout the community. So
and
now
some of these words are cultural, aren't they?
And it's a word. How does a word hurt anybody?
Well, it's like the word fanny. If you're in America, fanny refers to your backside.
Yeah.
If you're in the rest of the world, fanny is the front side of a woman. And so, and the same word using that C word refers to the same thing. So if you're, and I don't get it, you're like, people, I can understand, and I'll say this finally, I can understand that people might be sensitive to a word because of the history that it has with them. And in that context, it has a deterioratory sort of effect. But then, if we're going to offend somebody and you're offended, then for Christ's sake, tell them that you're offended and why, and hopefully they'll apologise. And if they don't apologise, just tell them to fuck off.
Yeah.
It's quite simple.
Yeah. I think the thing about the word fanny, it's a diminutive version of the name Francis.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. In the UK, a lot of people who were named Francis when they were born, girls named Francis when they were born, they grew up everybody calling them Fanny.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I could make a joke about that, but I won't. And someone says, the English language. Yes. Yeah. The English language.
Yeah, Sandra Schmidt. I like Sandra. She comes up with some really good stuff.
It's good value. Okay, just wanted to have a look at this one because it's the same theme, really, and it's Payman, Thorpe and Faruqi demand Labor change parliamentary rules to counter overt racism. Now, Avery, the point I want to make about this particular news item is that the reality is that when it came to abuse, sexual abuse, a few years ago now, it became apparent that Parliament House was the breeding ground for sexual assault, not just heterosexual sexual assault, but also gay and lesbian sexual assault, or gay sexual assault in particular, or at least sexual activity. And we won't go into that because we might get into real trouble. So, but the point is that the Parliament House should represent this place by which the standards of Australia, whatever those standards are, still trying to find out, but those standards in Australia are emulated. But however, that is unfortunately not the case, because if you ever watch Parliament, it is a rat race, to say the least. Question time in particular is like Milton the Speaker trying to corral a herd of sheep. It's pathetic and it's appalling to watch. It's an embarrassment. But so what they're doing here is they are wanting language to improve in Parliament House, because independent and Green senators asked the President to set up inquiry and anti-racism training for politicians to prevent bigotry corroding democracy. So we have, I think they had a picture here. Oh, we all remember this one, where this woman, oh God, what's her name? Oh, Pauline somebody or other. Anyway, everybody might remember where she went into Parliament with a burqa on. Anyway, increasing ugly abuse in federal parliament, which has been going on for years, this is not new, has prompted a group of independents, the Greens, to call for an urgent intervention from Labor to change the rules. Pardon me. Warning that allowing racism and bigotry to fester is corroding democracy. Guardian Australia can reveal independent Fatima Payman and Lydia Thorpe of the Greens, Maureen Faruqi, are demanding Senate President Sue Lines take the... I bet not many people knew who the President of the Senate was. The problem seriously with a new inquiry and mandatory anti-racism training for politicians. And so they sent this letter off to her. The senators expressed their deep concern about the overt and insidious racism they say they've felt and experienced in the upper house, noting that these women are Islamic. Payman's Islamic, so is Faruqi, and of course Lydia Thorpe is Indigenous. The patronising behaviour publicly undermines women of colour like us seeking to speak to an issue that directly impacts them and the community. This behaviour is part of a broader pattern where we are treated as interruptions, as irritants, and as subjects for ridicule and criticism rather than as equal members of the chamber. Because it is worth noting that there is no racism towards the propagandists, the most prominent racist in the Senate, which is Pauline Hanson.
Yeah.
None at all. Because, you don't... I guess the most criticism Pauline gets is that she's told she's a racist.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
The thing is policing somebody's speech is what the 33% of the people who voted on this want.
Yeah.
Right. And the thing is, if you don't allow them to speak, how are you going to recognise them? How can you counter what they think if you don't allow them to say what they want to say? And then we should pay they should be paid back, penalised for it by not getting voted in the case of politicians.
Yeah, I think it is a standard, though.
They should be ostracised.
You can't... Yeah, I don't disagree with you entirely, but I don't think you can have people within an environment, though, such as Parliament House, getting away with behaviour that is clearly racist. Given...
Then in a case like that...
Yep.
Pick a politician, right? Pauline Hanson, how about her? She said something racist, suspend her from the Parliament. So she,
they've done that already. It means nothing. She got suspended for 7 sitting days or something, and it meant thanks. I just want to say, Gosman, thanks, buddy. Really appreciate it. Anybody else want to contribute? Go for it. We're more than happy to accept whatever it is you throw at us. Because we don't get paid for any of this. Thanks very much.
Sandra says, I can't agree with you, Avery, that people can say what they want. The reason I say that, Sandra, is people should be able to say what they want, but they've got to be prepared to face the consequences. So if I say something that's truly objectionable, the consequence might be that I get ostracised by the community. that people stop talking to me and don't want to associate.
But are you saying also
I say something that you know, I say something.
Don't you mean though, Avery, that people could say abusive things about you, comment to you about who they think you are sexually and in other ways, that could be not only offensive but damaging to your reputation, which could mean loss of income, could mean
we've
health
got a remedy.
issues.
That's defamation. We've got a remedy for that.
But are you saying that you shouldn't get rid of defamation laws either?
No, I didn't say that.
We should maintain defamation laws.
Absolutely, but that's part of the penalty that you know. When I say that you say what you want, you should be allowed to say what you want. But part of the penalty would, in a case like that, is that I then go to a lawyer and make the lawyer rich and make you poor. You lose your house. Thanks, Cosmin. You lose your house.
You contributed because you disagreed anyway. But
yeah.
So it goes down to $2. Thanks. So if you disagree, every time you disagree with us, Cosmin, does that mean you're giving us $2? This is what I want to know. Because we need to find out more things that you disagree with us on.
That thing about what you say about defamation, that is an example of how you would pay for the price that you would pay for saying something that somebody else found offensive or whatever.
Yeah.
My point about being free to say what you want is if you don't, then we can't identify the hateful, racist, bigots, pieces of shit that we've got in this country.
Yeah. The Nazi flag is a symbol of violence, Sandra.
It is.
Referring to Sandra. Yep. So, God, I guess we could carry this conversation on forever.
Question there. The Nazi flag is a symbol of violence, right? Yeah. The Nazi flag. What about the swastika? Is that a symbol of violence? You know the answer. You know the answer.
No, because it has
anybody else here know the answer?
It has an ancient symbol, isn't it? Isn't it a Roman symbol or something?
JGB70 just said the swastika is a symbol of good luck in Buddhism.
That's it. Yeah, that's as well. Yeah.
Yes, Buddhism.
I think it has
Hinduism.
More. It is not just a Nazi symbol. I guess that's the point, isn't it?
The thing is that the Nazis took the. If you were to take the Nazi swastika, can you show it on the screen? You've got it on there. You've got the Nazi one.
Have I? Yes, I still have.
Yeah, on that Facebook Messenger thing that I sent.
Yeah. Hold on. Takes me time, Avery. I'm not as sharp as you are.
Oh, I shall have to. Well, yeah, that one. That'll do. That's the Nazi symbol. That one there at the top. Now, if you just swing that round, you can't do it. But
I'll turn my monitor on the side.
Yeah, you do that.
Work?
If people visualize turning that thing 45 degrees to the left, so it's now sitting flat, and then flip it over, that is what the original Buddhist, Hindu, Jain swastika looks like. That is a bastardization of a religious symbol.
Yeah.
Done by the Nazis.
Yeah.
But people see that, or they see if they were to see that's why I asked if you could bring up the Facebook Messenger one, because there they can actually see what it looks like.
No, I can't. It's too hard to bring that up.
All right.
All right. Oh, okay. Thanks, Dean. Okay. Right. We've got a first. We've got a first for you on the channel. Before we get to that, I just want to put this one up, which is Sandra. Thank you, Sandra Smith. Appreciate that. God, there are some wonderful people here, aren't there, Avery? Absolutely amazing.
That's a really good question. When does racism evolve to violence? Racism is a form of violence, I would say.
Yeah,
it's not physical violence, but it's. Yeah, I have got absolutely no time for any racists.
And we just want to announce, Dee just came in to tell me that this dude that was running for this that we talked about earlier, has seen our posts, Avery, and he has resigned from the candidacy in the North, in Wright. The guy that? This guy
Carston Woodhouse.
Yeah. Mr. Woodhouse has since resigned simply because, no, that's bullshit. I don't know whether he watches us or not. But anyway, the pressure has been brought to bear by all the media, and he since has resigned from that seat, and rightfully so. Hope he resigns.
You know
from
what that means? I can't do to him what I did to Senator Gerard Rennick.
What's that?
I had a long discussion with him about email discussion. He was saying that that immigrants were a greater threat to climate change was a greater threat to the economy than immigrants.
Yeah.
Right. Or was it the other way around? But he said that climate change was the biggest threat to the economy. When he lost his seat in Queensland, I wrote to him and congratulated him on his loss. Now I can't go.
Now we can. Well, maybe you can. You can find his email address somewhere. You can find his email.
I was so looking forward to writing to Carston Woodhouse and congratulating him on his loss.
Let's make a comment about that. I think if you're a shit candidate and you don't have, I hate this word values, and I found myself, Avery, about to use it, which was horrible of me. But if you're a crappy candidate and people start noticing how friggin' crappy you are, and the media starts to publicise your crappiness, then I guess you're just not going to last very long. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
And so, and the party probably pulled the pin on him because he was just so shitty, and rightfully so. I hasten to add, rightfully so.
Oh, when you've not had me on the screen, I've been texting like crazy to the Liberal Party to say he's a racist, Christo-fascist piece of shit. You should get rid of him. So,
you didn't use the C word in describing him, did you?
No, I didn't. Oh, well, I did. Christo-fascist. That's a C word.
I was just going to say. Okay, Christian clown. That's 2 C words. Okay, so we've been going for the longest we've gone on for a while. So we haven't bored everybody. I see my statistics in the last few minutes have actually, in terms of people viewing, have increased. So I don't know what the hell that's all about. Maybe it's about us doing it at 4 o'clock or something. I don't know. That's the question. So let's go back. Let's go back to the should people be permitted to say what they want? We have 42 votes. If you haven't voted before I close it, please vote now. We've got 67 yes, 33% no, and we'd really like to know why the 33 say no, I guess. But please vote on the poll before we close down. Avery, any final words to your public?
Oh, I just want to say thank you to Sandra. I don't know what she's thanking me for, but you're welcome, Sandra. Yeah, I've that thing I was saying about freedom of speech is obviously I don't like. Well, maybe it's not obvious. I don't like to hear people, using racist talk, sexist talk, anything like that. I don't like to hear it, but
no.
I still believe that people should be allowed to say it, because once you start policing what you're saying, or you can't say this, you can't say that, what's the next thing they're going to do? To me, it's a slippery slope. Now you can't use you can't watch that on the TV, you can't listen to that on the radio, you can't write this. That's where Queensland's going with this legislation now.
Why can't this is a conversation perhaps we could have next week, but why can't we just be reasonable, decent, respectful, ethical human beings?
Yeah,
why can't we just express love and appreciation for everyone? Why do we have to pop people into categories? And because we're
tribal.
We're tribal. Because I don't like, it runs against my grain a little bit, Avery, to start calling out people like Pauline, Hanson and Clive Palmer and others, because I'm sure as much as difficult as it might be for me to find the qualities that I appreciate in those people, I'm sure they do have them. So it's the distilling of the problem of the issues that they tend to propagate that are the problem for me, and the values that they hold or they demonstrate they hold, which are counter to my own. But at the end of the day, a good discussion to air those values and those beliefs and the belief systems in particular is really where we should be at. So, what parting words would you like to make before we vanish into the ether?
Well, I mentioned it on here because somebody else did earlier on about abortion. And if you recall, around 4 months ago, I started getting into it when I did that video about Christianity, about my views on Christianity, and how this woman came up and said about abortion and called me, said I was pro-murdering babies. And I think it's a woman, I don't know. This person, for some reason, I've got the idea it's a woman. But they don't. This person does not have the courage to put their name or their face to what they're saying, and they've come back recently and said that I chickened out, and I've not chickened out of anything. I've just not been able to respond because I said I was going to do a video, and I couldn't respond because you're aware of the reasons why. My wife being ill. And the huge impact that's had on my life. But just recently, I've been able to start looking at it again, and I'm just in the editing phase of the video, and I'm hoping that by the time we do this next week, that video will be up on Perspectives.
Oh, right. And we need to make sure that people have access to that. So we could pop it in the description as well, Avery, so people can pick it up next week. We'll put that up. Oh, JG's given us $2.99 again. Buddy, I tell you what, this man is turning out, well, he's always been a hero, but he's turning out to be a superhero. Thanks, mate. We really do appreciate that. We appreciate your involvement as well.
Thanks, JG.
So it's, what, I keep saying this, and I'm going to keep saying it, Avery, because it is the truth. We have, in our comment section, we have one of the most, now I watch lots of videos and look at the comments from other streams and stuff, but there is definitely a level of intelligence and caring and consideration amongst the people that come onto my stream.
We get some really good banter coming on this as well.
Oh, yeah, they talk about all sorts of things from training dogs to heaven only knows what else. Somebody talking about language, somebody in here said, and I'm sure you'll get the reason why they said it, that they banned the name Kent in New Zealand. I don't know if you saw me. I nearly fell off my chair laughing when I saw that. There's a comment that somebody put there. Banned the word Kent, K-E-N-T, in New Zealand. Well, maybe that's because the New Zealand accent, a bit like saying the word six sounds like sex. So, maybe that's the reason. Okay. Thanks, Avery. Stay with me. I'll catch up with you in just a second. I just want to remind everybody, well, firstly, thank Avery for being with us. It's always a joy. And we've had lots of people come online today, which I really do appreciate. But I just want to say, could everybody please remember, if you haven't already, I can't tell you how much it means to me to kick along our subscriptions. The money that I receive on these things goes to the guest, which is Avery in this case. So he gets paid whatever it is you send, and I really do appreciate it. And so does he, I'm quite sure. But please subscribe to my channel, ring the bell. And the reason why I say that is that my analytics tell me that a lot of people watch my videos who don't subscribe. And I need to say, this may come as a shock to you, but to punch the subscribe button doesn't cost you anything. And my estimation takes 0.001 of a second to do so. So press the subscribe button, press the like button, make a comment, because I love reading them, and get involved in the community. Because I can tell you now, these are a great bunch of people who have a lot to offer. So I just want to say thanks everybody for being with us. Remembering that next week, in fact, Tuesday I think I'm on my own. Wednesday I'm doing a group with Daniel again. We did a live feed the other day. That live feed will now be at 3 o'clock, trying to bring some consistency into it. Then I will do another live feed on Thursday, and then on Saturday we have a live feed with Nathan talking about the state election here in South Australia. And it'll be a fun thing for us to do. I'm really looking forward to that. So thanks everybody for being here. Take care.